A very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first session of our training. I hope most of you have joined yesterday's demo session, and we have understood that what we are actually going to do in this particular training, right? So just to set the context once again, by the way, what is that we are actually trying to do here is we're actually trying to go for DevSecOps training, correct? So within the cloud, that's okay, but DevSecOps is what we're trying to do. Now, what is the roles and responsibilities of an engineer we talked about, right? So the engineer roles and responsibilities we talked about is so first one is so setting up the ISE. Okay, that means so set up infrastructure. Okay, why do you set up infrastructure? Because you wanted to run application, correct? We're talking about web server. So that means above this, what we talked about, there is something called as business. Okay, so business we talked about. And what is that we talked in the business? So there is something called as SDLC business, software development lifecycle business. So this is what we talked. And in the SDLC, what kind of applications we make? Which is web applications, which is the trend. Okay, so the web applications means, so you're hosting your application somewhere. So this means what is? This means what? You're going to have your application hosted on server, okay, and a customer okay. So a customers will try to access our application. So application hosted on server, and here the customer is going to access. Application. Okay, so that means this is our this is the picture of what we actually do when you actually look from some 10,000 feet, something like that. If you look at our role, so customer is there who is accessing our application. So now let's say I'm using Miro.com. I'm a customer. Okay, that means this Miro.com is hosted somewhere in some server. I'm actually accessing over the browser. Okay, now to set up this particular web applications, by the way, so our role exists is what we talked about. Okay, and our role, so we are roles and responsibilities. This is our role to maintain this, or in this particular area, to maintain this particular one. Okay, so we actually, this is our role, by the way. So to maintain this, around this is what your role is. This is your role. So which is as a DevSecOps role is actually coming under this. Okay, so this is your radius of your work, by the way. Around this application hosting is what your job. Okay, now on above this, by the way, so you will be having generally the devs and all. So basically like developers plus QA. So they're going to have the code made for our business. Okay, so that will continuously come in here. Okay, and which is again your responsibility also to bring so to bring that code to this one. So you are actually, your role is application centric role. Okay, your role is application centric. So that means your role, if you go back and look in, yesterday we are talking about the infrastructure, setting up the infrastructure. Why I'm setting up the infrastructure? To run the application, because customer is going to access it. In order to access it, that .com, so somewhere you have to host it, and this is what is coming. And what is the next one then? Okay, we talked about is CI/CD. Okay, this is also setup application. We wanted to set up the application. The third one we talked about. And what is another one we talked about? Automation. Okay, so automation is basically again, which is to run again application again to. Okay, so just you require automation and all. So you need to deploy application. You can say to deploy application and all, you require automation in an automated way. Okay, and plus finally security. Okay, so to avoid risk. Okay, because you're actually exposing this application to the outside world, so the public is accessing it. Somewhere from the internet, someone is accessing it, so it is going to be a risk involved. Okay, so just as an example, yesterday, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, one of the bank in India, which is a leading bank, is ICICI. So, which is a data leak, by the way. Okay. But okay, so if you see this, by the way, so this data is available in the public domain. So, but from some of the, attackers, I would say, like, or hackers somewhere. So the data is available, and some screenshots also I have seen somewhere. Okay, some other article maybe. So there's a data. Okay, there's a data breach happened. Okay, so why of the reason is basically is simple. It is their application is exposed to the outside world, and some of the application is having some sort of a security loophole, which led to a data breach actually. Okay, some screenshots. Okay, so at least the news is there, right? So you understand that now security is very important to be considered while releasing the application. So you can't actually compromise on that. So to avoid the risk of attacks. Okay, to avoid the risk of attacks. Okay, so these are the 4 things which we talked about. Now, all these particular things, okay, is again pointing to this only. Okay, so that means if you really understand, by the way, okay, these are all, you're hosting the application. That means some server. You're creating server to run the application. You're hosting something on the server. Okay, and you're automating something to run on the server again. You're hardening your server, all pointing to one single thing. So which is servers. Okay, so where all these actually going to run here is servers. Okay, so this is what we're talking. Why we are actually, now you go back to the syllabus and asking, okay, if you ask me, okay, hey Raghu, why are you teaching Linux? Now the reason it is coming in, okay, is because, so all the things pointing to Linux here. And that was the reason. Okay, so the servers is coming into picture. Now these servers, okay, now why Linux? So many of you have a confusion that, okay, so why not Windows or something like that, or maybe Windows, okay, people coming from Windows background or something. So they may think that, Windows is huge or something. Let's understand from something from the data. usage of operating system. Okay. Wikipedia, by the way. So if you look in the usage of operating systems, by the way, so there's an article exclusively for that, or basically a Wikipedia page available exclusively for that. Now the devices that was shipped, by the way, in 2015 data, it is Android is the leading one. Everyone knows that. Out of every mobile, maybe 100 mobiles, like 95 mobiles maybe Android only, no doubt in that. Even it can go to 98, 97 also, depends upon. Okay, so no question on that, by the way, right? So then the next one is, different different segments are there. So now if you just come down to web clients where they will run majorly is Android, because the number of devices, if you look in, so laptop versus mobile is a highly used one. And ultimately in mobile, by the way, there is a web client like Chrome or something you'll install. Generally, like, Android again leads there. No doubt in that. Now, desktop and laptops, no one is arguing. Windows is leading there, according to some data, 2018 data. No problem. That's fine, right? Now, the same way, now if you just come down on the server side, by the way, okay. So if you even come bit down, yeah. So here's the one. So if you look at the big servers, by the way, so if you just look at the category, by the way, so earlier, overall, like if you just, this data is about the big systems, okay. But yeah, so if you look at earlier, it was actually dealt with Unix, and slowly it was replaced by Linux. It's almost 100% Linux. So Windows area of presence on that area is very less. So just considering or decoding this particular data to, okay, just to small servers as well. Okay, Linux is one of the widely used operating system. Okay, so you can just type in internet also. You will just generally get, which operating system is widely used in servers. Okay, so then you generally get Linux is widely used, right? No doubt in that. Okay, so that's where these whatever we learn over here is Linux. So we are going to learn Linux. Okay, so we're going to learn Linux. Now, what is this Linux and how it evolved? Maybe let's spend some 2-3 minutes. This history is very interesting to understand also. Now, back in days, okay, we used to have an era of mainframe. Okay, so all the compute started majorly with the mainframe, which is not our scope of discussion, but still, okay, there used to be something called as mainframe, and where today also mainframe is running. Okay, so today biggest business in the market is offloading mainframe is one of the biggest modernization business going on right now. Okay, if I go to any company, okay, and say that I can offload your mainframe, then that's a very welcoming project, by the way. Okay, because mainframe charges huge amount today. Okay, so there is a well saying, okay, also is 25% of the infra cost just goes to mainframe. Okay, just 25% of the cost of the infrastructure itself will go to mainframe on an enterprise scale, by the way. If you look at the big companies who runs mainframe and all. Now, let's say you may have 1,000 servers, 10,000 servers also, but comparing the cost, the mainframe still occupies 25%, because each and every transaction, so you have to buy the hardware, you have to buy the yearly license. For each and every transaction you make to the mainframe also, you have to pay. That's a mainframe business. Okay, so we can't, people actually seriously thinking about offloading this, and there's a serious problems on this particular skill set, actually, like to select the skill set not towards to the mainframe, by the way. So but basically like offloading the business. Okay, one of the successful company who is doing that is MongoDB. Okay, MongoDB offloading, mainframe offloading. So they have been so marketing this, that, so we can offload, we have strategies and we've been doing it, so these guys actually been working on mainframe offloading business. Okay, so, and their partners generally, like, get the get the projects and they'll work on that. Okay, so the mainframe, so which we are not interested. So, but again, there's also another thing, which is also another operating systems were there, which is Unix, by the way. So the first operating system you can consider at any small scale server that you can run is that came was Unix. Now in the Unix world, okay, there are different Unix worlds. There are different Unix vendors for there. Okay, you have HPUX. I mean, in this category, you have HPUX. That means like there was there was different vendors who was making the HPUX, and you have AT&T. So actually, the first Unix is AT&T only. Okay, so I'm not sure how many of you heard about. The starting of a programming language, the C language, and so started in AT&T Labs by Dennis Ritchie. The same Dennis Ritchie guy invented Unix, and the first Unix was AT&T. Okay, then slowly people started adopting it. HP was one of the company, and IBM there was there, AX was there, and Sun Microsystems there was, Solaris was there. Okay, these are all the different Unix operating systems were there. Now the problem with the Unix is too costly. Okay, too costly. Why it was too costly? Because it was just meant costly. That's it. Okay. Now your iPhone, why it is so costly? Android actually is coming much cheaper. Okay. Or you take MacBook. Okay, I'm having a MacBook here. Why I need to purchase a MacBook? Because there is a Windows cheaper hardware is available, cheaper operating system is available. Okay, Mac still leads in the cost. By the way, I still need to spend. Okay, so amount, in doing this. So that means I almost spent like, I'll almost spend like, $3,600 or $3,700 to purchase this hardware. Okay, so some 4 years back, it's almost comes like, 32 GB of RAM with the Intel, so some processor, I think i9, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, i9 processor. Okay, almost costed me some $3,600 or $3,700 I spent, by the way. Where if I spend like, so maybe some $1,500, I get a very decent hardware. Okay, with the same hardware specs, I can get it. But still, I spent it, by the way. It is too costly. Okay. And what is the reason for this particular cost, by the way? So because of the stability, by the way. So why the stability will come into picture? Because the software and hardware made by same manufacturer. Okay, if the software and hardware makes by the same manufacturer, the performance ultimately increases, exponentially increases, because the full stack is developed by one person only. Okay, so but otherwise your hardware is developed. Now you go to the Windows, your hardware is developed by some vendor. Okay, now that means like, so something like Dell or something you will go for, and your OS is developed by somewhere else. Okay, so then there is always a problem in performance, by the way, will come into picture. So that ultimately, okay, so whoever wants to run the stabilized things, they essentially go for this. And that's why the cost was too huge, by the way. And the cost is a huge in such a way that people can't afford to do the practice. And we're talking about 1970s story of universities that people can't actually afford of buying a Unix boxes and practice it, by the way. Though the universities are teaching, even universities can't afford buying these particular things. So to that extent it was there. And to overcome this, by the way, there is a guy, okay, so who believed that the software has to be open source, software has to be free. Okay, it is his simple thought process. So the Dennis Ritchie, okay, he's a software engineer. Okay, what he did is he announced a first community. The community that is known into the market is the first community, which is GNU community. Okay, he started a movement in the software which is called as GNU. He started this. Now after he starting it, so there is a people who are slowly coming and starting this movement and all. So GNU stands for GNU stands for again GNU, G stands for again GNU. GNU animal is there. So GNU animal, this is the animal. And what is the best thing in this animal? They live in community. Okay, this animal is well known for community. They live like this only. Alone they won't live. They live with communities. Okay, so that is the idea. He started GNU, and N stands for not Unix. He started a community, GNU not Unix community. He launched it, and there are people working on and things like that. So now what is the problem? Okay, I mean, what is the problem with this Unix is the software and hardware is actually trying to come in a same place, correct? Okay. Software, hardware made by the same guy. Okay. Now, what this GNU is actually trying to target is the GNU is trying to target the layer. Okay. So, which is the software and the hardware layer. Okay. That means breaking the layer, breaking the binding in this particular layer. Okay. These guys are actually working on a layer development. So, which is this to break the layer that they worked on. They're trying to work on. So that layer is break these, so that layer, so that any software can run on any hardware. That is what they are working on. Okay, which ultimately they couldn't succeed, by the way. They couldn't succeed, and they're still going on. Okay, now during that particular time, okay, so GNU community. Okay, so if you go to the GNU community and from Wikipedia, so when it was launched, sometime in history, 1983, he launched. Okay, so they started the software sometime in 1984. Okay, so then there is again a college student also started working on this particular project, and his name is Linus Torvalds. Okay, so who we call it as the creator of the father of Linux. Now this guy, okay, so has said that, okay, I have decoded, or basically I have made a software basically sometime in okay, so attended the university in 1988 to some time, but his first Linux he came out as a release sometime in 80s 89 if I'm not wrong, and he joined GNU, okay, so during 1989. So or 99, I don't remember exactly, so 1989 or 91. So he joined the GNU, by the way. He collaborated with GNU. The Linus Torvalds is the one who made this particular code success. Okay, so Linus Torvalds, so who makes this as a successful one, and this layer. Now some of the part that is developed by GNU, and some of the part which is developed by Linus. Okay, and the outcome is basically the Linux. That outcome that came out is Linux, and also we call it as exclusively GNU Linux. Okay, so there are other Linux also is there. There is that something is GNU Linux. Okay, in GNU Linux there are three major. Linux is not an operating system. Sorry for the confusion, but still Linux as a word, it does not mean an operating system. But people generally, it's fine. Okay, end of the day, it turns out to be an operating system. But actually, Linux by a word, it doesn't mean an operating system. It's just the software layer. But however, this software layer plus software, or this layer plus software together called as an operating system. Now they just made only this layer, and still today also they make that layer. Okay, still today also Linus Torvalds only releases this layer, and which is also called as a kernel. Okay, Linux is nothing but kernel. Okay, so but however, there are certain companies who comes in and makes the software, by the way. Okay, the GNU Linux, they take the GNU Linux. Okay, and on top of GNU Linux, they make certain softwares. Okay, to release an operating system. So they take this one and plus they are going to do that. So one of the company who does that is Red Hat, and there's another company who does that is is a Debian. Okay, so then Linux of distribution list. Linux distribution list, again, let's go to the Wikipedia. You will see that huge number of, you see that each and every line is an operating system. Out of this, there are very few GNU Linuxes are there. So now that there is a Slackware is not a GNU Linux, it's their own, some other different Linux. Debian, okay, so Debian, spelling correct, BI. Okay, Debian is the other guy who does this one. And another company is Red Hat, we talked about. And also another is, there are different guys, but where is the other guy? Mostly these two guys only. There's also one more guy, Suzy. I think from Slackware, Suzy came in, so he still goes with GNU Linux only. But yeah, so one Linux or maybe some Linux over here can be still, or this is a GNU Linux. The down, whatever you have unparented Linuxes or different other Linuxes, even is subject to correction in my history. That's okay. But at least out of this, the two vendors you generally see over here is these two guys, Red Hat and Debian. And out of this, okay, so we are not preferring to go with the Debian, so we may go with Red Hat, and very simple, by the way. So the usage in the market, okay, on the enterprise scale. So we're talking about enterprise. In the enterprise world, which Linux operating system is widely used? Okay, which operating system, which Linux is widely used in corporate enterprise? If you just give that, the answer you get it is Red Hat. So this is an AI answer. You can still see Red Hat is the major one. So there was a tough competition between Debian and Red Hat, by the way. So back in late 2000s, late 2000s, by the way, when Linux was actually coming in at the time of so coming into the market, booming into the market. Okay, there was a accusation. There's a statement made by the Dennis Ritchie caused the problem for Debian, by the way. So Dennis, or early 2010s, by the way. So Dennis Ritchie on Ubuntu. So he actually made a statement. Comment on Ubuntu. Richard. Why I went with Dennis Ritchie? So Richard Stallman. Actually, did I slept and wrote something wrong here? My very bad, sorry, man. Really, really sorry. Richard Stallman. 1 second. Clear. Richard Stallman. So now the Richard Stallman, calls the Ubuntu as spyware, by the way. So who is a GNU creator? So he called okay, Ubuntu as a spyware, he see a lot of uncontrolled software that goes into Ubuntu is causing a lot of problems. So that was a context, by the way, not as Ubuntu as an operating system. And during that time, okay, so it was a very tough time for Ubuntu, okay, to step onto the server market. And slowly they shipped onto the desktop market, by the way. Okay, so that's how the history has happened. Now going back to this, now Red Hat comes as a leader over there. So and that's where we'll be going and learning the Red Hat Linux for our training, because that is the leader in the market generally. Red Hat, and Red Hat also Red Hat OS. If you look in now, if you look at the operating system of Red Hat OS versions. Okay, so if you look at the releases, now there is these are the different versions which is there in the Red Hat, by the way. Now there is Red Hat 8 and Red Hat 9, which are the two different versions which is currently going on in the market. Okay, out of that, 9 is the latest one. It's already been few years it came in, and Red Hat 8, it usually ends up the life in some time. Okay, there'll be lifetime they'll be defining, but otherwise these are all ended life. Okay, so I mean, Red Hat 7 and all, they are not supporting anymore. So Red Hat 8 or Red Hat 9. So since we are actually having the Red Hat 9 as the latest version, Red Hat 10 is also released, but is under beta, by the way. So that's where the stable release is this one. So we'll be going and learning RHEL 9 version in our training. Okay, so that's what is our thing. Okay, so just to go back to the history, maybe I just took few more minutes extra than expected. So overall point is, our business is a web-based application, and that's where we need to host our application on some servers. Your job role revolves around that particular server side, or rotating under where you host your application, and end of the day the application needs to be hosted on some server. So those servers are actually going to be the Linux servers, by the way, and that's where you're going to learn Linux. And Linux also, you have different versions. So you have Red Hat coming from enterprise, majorly used one, and we are going to learn the latest version, which is 9 version in our time. So this is the context. Okay, so maybe any questions on this? So when you have question, it's the same thing that we have done in the demo also. Please click on raise your hand. I'll come to know that there is a question. I'll come to you about it. Not able to hear you, Bhavya.
Hi Raghu. Actually, I'm non-IT background. Sorry to ask, what are the servers like Linux and Ubuntu, Windows? I didn't get that.
Server is a box hardware, like your laptop. It's a server with more
Okay,
capacity,
where we process all our work.
where you host your application.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi Raghu, can we get any study material on this course once we join or once we pay?
You will get it.
Because we are not taking any meeting notes, I think study material will help us.
Yeah. So these are not technical topics, right? This is just a general
Okay.
knowledge. Yeah. When technical topics comes, there is a document.
Yeah.
I'm not able to hear you.
Hello, Raghu.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So after the meeting, any meeting summary kind of thing will be generated. Maybe some kind of notes that we can use.
You will
it
get
later.
the summary in the video description, by the way. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm audible, Raghu.
Yes.
Raghu, the lab assistant, we need to set up in our own AWS. Are you?
I'll come to that. Yeah. To the current topic, let's talk about any questions. I'll come to that. Yeah. I'm coming.
Hi Raghu. So we discussed 4 roles under DevSecOps engineer role, right? Infrastructure
Mhm.
as code, CI/CD, automation, and security. So I wanted to ask under which role this monitoring of the cloud infra comes under.
So if
Monitoring.
you're setting up your infrastructure means that means your job is to so maintain and monitor that one also. It's not like you set it up and leave it, right? So that means you have to set up that also.
So monitoring also comes under this DevSecOps roles, right?
Ideally, yes.
Oh, okay, Raghu. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any more hands. Moving on, the next one is where do I set up this particular RHL9? RHL9 is an operating system, so the same like maybe your Windows operating system, right? So maybe we can think of setting up in your laptop. Yes, you can do that. And also, but by the way, just you're joined for a real-time training. In the real-time training, you don't run the things on your laptop, so it doesn't make sense. So you have to relate something better. Okay, so that's where we'll not just go with the what do we say, laptop setup kind of a thing. So we highly discourage, or at least I highly discourage this, because whatever you do, by the way, so it should be more or less relevant to the work that you're actually going to perform later. Okay, so that's where so this Linux, wherever you need to practice, so which is which is going to be somewhere in the cloud is what I am going to take it up. So here we're going to use since the training is AWS, so we'll go with the AWS and we'll pick up the AWS. Okay, that means what? Every one of you need to so set up your AWS account. Okay, and we need to create the servers there. All right, so if you're already having an existing AWS account, please feel free to use the one. And if you're not having any AWS account, you need to sign up, by the way. So we'll share you the links after the session. We'll share you those particular things, so you can go through those particular link. And so here it is. Yeah. So here there's a AWS account sign up video, AWS account. Where do you start? The link and all is given. Okay. So just by following this video, you will be setting up your AWS account. Going back. Yeah. But however, on the day one, I don't want you to, now let's say on the day one, I don't want you to go with the AWS account, sign up and things like that, like in the class. So here, just for 1 or 2 days until you create your account and so create your servers and all, just the first 2 days, I still going to take the Linux just for a temporary purpose. Okay, just for temporary purpose, I'm going to use a website called as Pillar Coda. Okay, where you're going to get a Linux here. Okay, just first 2 sessions, first 2 days, to learn Linux, we use this. Okay, so we use this just for the first 2 days or the 2.5 days, the third session starting, we'll use this Killer Coda. Killer Coda, by the way, they will provide Linux just on the browser. They'll give you one server and access on the command line. So we're just going to give you that. So that Killer Coda link is also given here. Okay, that Killer Coda link is there, and AWS sign up link is there. Okay, our sign up video and link is there, so you can sign up. If you already have an account, no need to do anything, anyone more. And if you don't have an account, you need to sign up. And while you do the sign up and all, you are going to be asked for a proper credit card or debit card. You need to provide that because there is a charges involved in that. So that means we're going to practice. We're going to do a big project. I already called out in the demo session. We're going to have a project, not a small hello world project just for the sake of learning. We do a little bit serious project, and that serious project requires capacity to run on the heart in the cloud, by the way. That ultimately turns out to a bill. On an average, $30 to $40, you'll get a bill, by the way. So on an average usage of 4 to 5 hours, you'll be able to manage that in 30 to 40, or some around $40, you should be able to manage. With the more usage, the more bill will come generally. And there are some cost saving practices. We'll talk about that bit later. Okay, slowly when we actually come with bigger, using more and more hardware, we'll talk about that also. But otherwise, the bill exists, by the way. So we had to pay that. Okay, so that is the one. And also along with that, so you have something called as a Miro link here. So the diagram which I'm making here, right? So you can see here, the link is also available. Even if I open in incognito, you should be able to see the diagram, whatever I have written. Okay, so this will be also available. So these are the things. So after the session, please sign up your account if you don't have one. If you have an account, no need to create one. So I know there is a question comes, there is a free account. Why don't we use free account? There's nothing free in Amazon. That just for the sake of free, they give the free. There's nothing free, at least for our training. That free is not enough at all. Okay, don't even spend a minute of time thinking about free. Okay, that's not going to happen. All right. So that's where, okay, it's not going to be free. So we'll cross the free limits anyhow. So we'll be paying with them. So that's where, if you already have an account also, there is no point in creating another account. So still use the old account instead. If you don't have an account, so please do sign up. It's a very simple sign up only. Okay, so these are the links. And we can start with the Linux on Killer Coda. So Killer Coda, by the way, if you just go and open, by the way, so you open the link. So first you need to do a login. So just do the login here on the right side top. You can simply use your Google account only and you can log in. Okay. Then again, you can open this particular one once again after the login. It will take you to the session. And here is the Linux things which are available. So we'll talk here. Okay. So that's where the first 2 days until your account sign up is ready and all. Okay. We will not go with our server creation. So we'll be using the Killer Coda. So they'll provide the free Linux over the browser. So we'll just use that. It's only for Linux learning, basic commands learning. It can't scale. Okay. It can't run all your project, by the way. Okay. So that's not going to work. So just only for 1 or 2 days rather than the setup and all. So we'll go with this approach. Yeah. So any questions before starting the Linux things? Not able to hear you, Kishore.
So it's AWS and everything, it's account created by us initially for training for it's month-wise, or like how we'll get we need to pay that money?
Yeah, month-wise you'll get a bill with whatever email you sign up on the first day of the month. You'll get an email saying that this is the bill you got it, or else even every day also you can look at the billing. I'll show you when I start Amazon.
Okay.
To see the bill.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, so say you already have an AWS account, like created that as a free tier account. I know when you max out the resources, they start to bill you. Do I still need to like create a regular account, or can just continue with a free tier account?
That's what I was mentioning. There is no free tier kind of a thing. So they just call it as a free tier. That's like
Right. Yeah, I
not-
know when they call it free tier, but when you start to reach a certain level of usage of the resources they will start to charge you.
yeah, you have to pay the bill. That's what we do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Raghu, you have mentioned the cost like $30 to $40. So on what basis per project or per hour?
Yeah, for the training which we go, and if you are assuming practicing some 3 to 4 hours of time, that bill will come.
So for the whole training, we only practice 3 to 4 hours itself.
I'm assuming a average person availability time.
Okay.
So if a person is working 8 to 9 hours goes there, if he's sleeping, I mean, taking care of family, all these particular things, and an average person will get it only 3, 4 hours of time, right? So
Yeah.
that is itself is a huge number. So that's where I just consider that number. The more you usage, by the way, that means like you're practicing too much, and on a day itself, you're spending 10 hours, and the bill will be, I mean, just directly proportional to that particular usage.
Yeah. So you mean to say the cost is proportional to server uptime?
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Raghu, can you hear me?
Yes.
Just about these Unix and Linux operating systems. There are many in the market like CentOS, Debian, Ubuntu. So how when we go for jobs or anything, how we are going to decide like what we have to use, and so who will decide all these environments, and how to cope up in the real time environments with all these different types of operating systems.
When you go to any company, enterprise company, you don't see a different type of operating systems. You will see only one operating system. So that is Red Hat generally.
Oh, okay.
So now what are the different operating systems you called out was also the childs of the same, the child of that other operating system. Okay. So Linux distribution list, if you go for it. So CentOS is nothing but a copy of, that means if you look at this diagram, by the way, it started by Red Hat, right? So here, that means it is a Red Hat. So now everything you talk about is basically is a copy of that. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, so, and somewhere the CentOS also Oracle Linux is there, and the CentOS also will come somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so CentOS is a copy of Red Hat. Okay, these are all copies only. That means you're learning Red Hat means, so the Red Hat based one means all these lines, whatever you see, you're already learning. Okay, the same thing with Ubuntu also. Okay, so Ubuntu, you're actually learning from one Debian. It's actually a Debian one. Okay, so Ubuntu. Now all the childs of Ubuntu is basically you're learning automatically. It's all fork from there only. So there are only two major operating systems, which is Debian and Red Hat, by the way. So widely difference, by the way. Rest all is childs.
Okay.
So you know one, you can deal with other.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for clarity.
Yeah. Hi, Raghu. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So what is the instance type we are using in AWS to run the application?
When we go to AWS, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So let's stick to the topics now.
Okay.
Just in the interest of time. So because we start going out of the topics, we never complete the actual intended topics. So when it will come, anyhow, we have to talk about it. We will talk about it.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
My doubt is like, so during the lab practice, suppose if you have any doubts, how we can communicate?
So like we discussed in the yesterday session, there's a lab session, you will get access to that. And any questions you will be asking there.
Okay, we have to post it into the...
It's a Zoom call only, same like this. You can
Okay.
share your screen, you can talk, all the things.
Okay. So is it possible to take the screen control also if we share the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So going back, the killer coda, by the way, so if you go to the killer coda, I have 2 courses. There are a lot of people, I mean, other courses are also there. So a lot of topics will be taught here. Okay. So there are different courses is there. So I hosted my courses as well here. So I just categorized that into 2 parts, the very basics of Linux that you can practice in killer coda, and the Linux administration topics that we'll practice in AWS, by the way, until we complete the Linux basics. So we'll use killer coda for the today, tomorrow kind of a thing. Okay. So Linux. Now, when you go with the Linux operating system, you need to understand that Linux is a command line operating system. Okay. So that means you don't have the fancy way of that you do in the desktop, by the way, the Windows, the UI. I mean, you take the mouse and click and all, you will not be doing it. So it's going to be a command line. Okay. Why command line is basically is many reasons. Okay. Or at least if you put it the top 2 reasons. If you want to run the UI, okay, you require a huge resources. That means your Windows laptop, I mean, even you're having 8 GB RAM also, it is slow only because of the UI prospect, because UI kills a lot of your things. Okay. But Linux can still run with a 100 MB, 200 MB of RAM also. Seriously, Linux can run. You will literally see in the training going forward, your applications will run with 100 MB, 200 MB also. You will see that. Okay. So that's where, okay. So I don't want, I mean, servers are costly, by the way. It's not cheap. Okay. You need to run server means it directly proportional to the cost. Like no one is interested in that. So that's where Linux is always, and also they won't be accessible directly to you, physically to you. They're always in the remote somewhere. Okay. You will be accessing that particular server over the remote only. So the graphical does not make sense because it is going to consume the network. It is going to consume the server resources. All these things is a problem. Okay. So that's where in Linux, no one generally, okay, keeps the UI on the server. Okay. Unless he is an immature guy. Okay. Whoever does the maturity or whoever has the maturity on the Linux, no one needs actually the graphical access at all. Okay. Windows also the same thing, by the way. So Windows also, you can do many of the things from the command prompt. Okay. So, I mean, even Windows servers also, at least whenever I see, I don't work, by the way, I mean, by luck, never got a chance to work with the Windows, but whenever we see also, like they also run the things automated only, like, so they run command line, PowerShell scripts, MS-DOS scripts and all. They do some work from the command line only, because when you think about the scale, like let's say one server means you can open, click, so 100 clicks you do and you do the job. Now the same 100 clicks you have to do on 100 servers in 100 minutes. It's highly impossible. Okay. So that is where you have to be a bit careful on that particular aspect. So that means, I mean, like UI is not a scalable thing in the server world, by the way. You forget about it. Even Windows also. Okay. Coming to the Linux, by the way, it's okay. To avoid that huge resources to be consumed, we don't need it. And there's a second important thing actually we need to understand there. And more the software, this is a very, very important thing I always discuss, especially, okay, when we actually setting up the servers. The more the softwares you set up, the more the risk you are bringing in. Lesser the software, lesser the risk. Very simple. If you have less software, okay, that means the chance of getting the risk is very less, by the way. The more software only, you can't control, you can't handle many softwares. Some or other bug will come into the system. Okay, so some guy will take that as an advantage. Okay, so like I have shown ICA as an example. I'm pretty sure, okay, it would have happened because of these reasons only. Pretty sure, okay, because we know the working style of the banks, by the way, because I'm also coming from, so another, I mean, same like ICICI, like another bank I work for. Okay, so we know how people will work there. Okay, so pretty, okay, I mean, I mean, the problem is the production is maintained by very less paid resources. That's the problem. The engineers will be there, but that's okay. But eventually it goes to the control to the some other person who actually maintains on the production. So these guys actually, so many things, they follow the documentation. Okay, so sometimes they go deviate the document and do the things because, I mean, manual, it can't scale, right? So that's where, these issues would usually come in. Like more softwares is always a more risk that you're actually bringing in. So the lesser the software, it is lesser the risk. Okay, so these are the two. I can bring in a couple of other reasons as well, but these are the two major reasons I would consider. Okay, one is a lightweight and other one is the security. Okay, these are the two major reasons I would consider we will not go with the so Linux operating will not go with the the UI based Linux operating system. So it's only command line. So that means everything you want to do in Linux, it's going to be a command. Everything we need to do, it's going to be a command in Linux. Okay, so Windows also you can do commands. You want to see the files, you open MS-DOS prompt and you type the command dir, you will see the list of files. Okay, you don't need to really open UI. So dir MS-DOS prompt. If you go for you open this command prompt and you type the dir command, you'll see the list of files. It's necessarily no need to go with the necessarily no need to go with the UI, by the way. You can see that. Okay, like that. I'm just telling. Right. So that's where, okay. So Linux is all about command line. Okay. Now your command line look like this. Command line look like this. So now here on the right side also, I got one command line. So the command line looking similar, like some screenshot like this, right? So it is telling you your username that you logged in. Okay. In Windows, what is the administrator account? In Windows, administrator is administrator only. Okay. Windows admin user is administrator. Linux administrator user is root, ROOT. So we logged in directly as a root user. And at the rate, the system name. So this is my system name, which the killer Coda has provided. Every server will have an identity, the name, like you having an identity. Servers also will have names, identity. Okay, the name of the server is what you're seeing there. And after that, there is a prompt, by the way. So either a hash or $, you will get it. Now you will type the commands. Okay, so some commands will execute. That's okay. Whatever the commands it is, you need to learn the commands and you're going to execute anything. You want something. Okay, in Windows, what do? You want to create a file. Here is a command. You'll run a command. You wanted to open a file. Here is a command. Okay, there may you do a double click. Okay, to create a file, you may do right click new file, something. Okay, so you want to create a folder there, right click new folder. Here it is a command. Everything is a command. Just an alternative command is there. That's it. Okay, we're going to learn some commands. And when you run some command, it may generate some output also. By seeing the output, you will come to know that, okay, you are trying to do something, and whether it is done or not done, you will get the clarity that you basically start learning the operating system. You'll get used to that. That's okay. But some commands may generate some output, some may not generate the output, by the way, but you will understand, okay, so something has happened. Okay, so these are the things. So you'll be having the commands. The list of commands is what you will learn the first week in the training. For each and every requirement, we are going to have a command. Now, for every command, there may or may not have options also. There may or may not be options. So it depends upon the command. So for an example, uname, whatever it does, let it do. That's okay. I executed something, it gave me a response. Now let's say you name something I'm giving with extra option, which is -a, it is giving me more option, more data. The same command only, the moment you give an option, the behavior of the command is changing. To change the behavior, we have options, by the way. Okay. Now the options of the Linux commands can be with a single character, like I have given here, or else you can give -- single word, maybe you can also give hyphen all, it may work. Or else you may give hyphen single word. So that all depends upon the command. I think uname is not detecting it. So Java, if I give hyphen version, okay, you're getting it. So Java hyphen version, I'm getting it. So that depends upon the command only. Okay, so the options will be decided. Now, how any command I wanted to, I wanted to learn what are the options, by the way. How do I come to know? Okay, I think internet is the best place, by the way. From system also you can get it, but I would suggest, my personal suggestion is go to the internet. Okay, so you wanted to learn a command. Let's say uname. Okay, uname command manual you type. Manual means anything you wanted to use, you get a manual book, right? Same way, manual, you type it, you get the answers, you go there and you start reading the options. And every option you no need to remember. Definitely no need to remember. And also at the same time, general used as options, you'll get used to that while you actually practice it and all. You will be using you'll be remembering them. You know, to every time go and refer the document also, right? So you generally, okay. I mean to say, like, generally, general options, like, every day you're using means, I don't think so you'll go and refer it. So you will be able to remember them and use that. Or else some options, everything you can't remember, you can simply come here and start reading it, whatever it is, and based on your use case, what is the option, you will be using that particular option. So that means in the first week, not only the commands you will learn, by the way, so some of its options also you will learn. Some of the command and their options also we will learn in the upcoming sessions. Okay. And the third thing is also there in the commands, by the way, which is some inputs. Now, system requires input also. Let's say I'm trying to create a file. You have to give an input. What file you want to create? File name is an input. Okay. I want to add a user to the system. An input I need to provide. Which username I need to add? So that input I need to provide. Input is important. Input will provide. Okay. So that depends upon the command. Every command does not really require input. Here, uname doesn't require any input. Okay. But if I go with the some file command, I wanted to create some file. It is telling that, hey, you are missing something. You have to provide a file because it requires an input. Okay. So we are going to have commands, and you may or may not have options, and the command may or may not require input. Not mandatory. The next two things are not mandatory. So it all depends upon the command and the operation you're trying to do. Okay, so that's something to start and understanding with the command line. So just to revise, so a command line, every command line that you look in, mostly the Red Hat comes with this format: a username @ the system name, okay, and the prompt it will provide, and there you're going to type the commands. Right? Make sense? Any questions on this? And also, a command may or may not have options, and a command may or may not require inputs. These are the thumb things, at least you should understand. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, related to this killer code, Raghu, can we create a files and work on the files also?
Yeah. It's a Linux now. Why the question?
No, because it's a web. No, that's what I was
What is that? Sorry?
No, because we are working on web, right? So the files will be, example for today, if you're practicing, tomorrow it is available, the same files, or it will be a fresh session.
No, in the demo also we talked about, right? So everything is web only. We clearly called it out. So we are running a web business. Everything will come on web only. That is a business. So Windows 365 is there. Okay, that means you can get directly a PC on the Windows, on the browser only. So that does not mean anything it will change, by the way. It is still same only.
Because the killer code is not on the cloud, I guess, right? Or it is on the cloud.
No, your way of looking is wrong, by the way. Okay. See, they are just giving out the browser. That does not mean anything they're changing.
Got it.
Okay, so you just get access on the browser. You'll just accessing on the browser only. That's it. You see this icon, by the way. So you're just accessing the Windows operating system literally on the browser. That's it. That doesn't mean that, so that my computer icon is removed or recycle icon is removed because it is a browser, right? It is as is, but you're accessing on the browser. So here also just accessing, it's a Linux. Everything works there. Yeah. Sorry, not able to hear you. Siva, not able to hear you.
Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is I got clear, Raghu. Regarding the lab assistant, no, post training also will get an assistant or till the training?
No, post. You're not there in the demo yesterday.
No, actually I didn't join yesterday.
I should suggest you to read it. Go through it.
Okay, I'll go through the video once. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if that is the case, I think I'm even good actually. This is what I wanted to cover for today. So from tomorrow, actual commands we can start. So today may be too much overwhelming. We'll cover this one last topic and we'll close for today. Okay, so this is again a general information only about the Linux. So in Windows, by the way, like any operating system, Linux also have a directory structure. So Windows, what is a directory structure? You have C drive, you have C drive Windows, you have C drive program files. Okay, so many things are there. Like you open Windows, it has its own structure. So C drive users, C drive documents and settings, C drive program and files. Oh, I think I have here, right? So you see this. So C drive having document and settings. Okay, so blah blah blah. Something is there here. Okay, so it's a structure of Windows. Now the structure of Linux is basically is going to start with something called a // Okay, under // you have different folders, by the way, bin folder, sbin folder, etc folder, dev folder, and all. Every folder has its own prominence in the operating system. Okay, now if you are not aware of Windows, each and every folder and its prominence, there is no need of going and learning in Linux also each and every folder and its prominence. Seriously, no need. Okay, but having it is it's an advantage even on the Windows side, even an advantage on the Linux side also. I'm doing a OS to OS comparison only. I'm not doing anything more. Okay, if Windows you are comfortable without knowing this, you are using Windows operating system all the time. Linux also without knowing also you can still use it, by the way. As per your job need, you will learn it. Okay, that's where directory structure of Linux is not that vast as Windows. Okay, you can still learn it and identify and understand it. Okay, so there's also a hyperlink I have given here. If you are interested, one fine day you can read about it. There's no problem. Okay, but necessarily not needed. Yeah, so just have it as per general knowledge. One day you think about it. That's fine. Now in Windows you have some folders. Linux also you have some folders. So Windows starts with / of C drive. So we'll go for MS-DOS. Prompt, by the way, if you go to the prompt, so here it all starts with C drive, right? C:\\. Yeah, C:\\/ is the one which it is actually coming in. So whereas the Linux it comes is okay. So / Linux uses // Actually, we are comparing with the Linux, by the way. Sorry, Windows, by the way. Actually, Windows is a copy of Unix. Okay, Unix was the first operating system. Linux is actually just inspired from Unix and just redeveloped everything as Linux, by the way. But Windows is a copy and just changed it. Like a lot of people may think like, Windows this one, Linux copy. No, it's actually Windows is a Unix copy. Okay, so that means there it was a // Unix was using // these guys came and used // okay, that's how it was. In Windows we use // but in Linux we use // in Linux, we have a root directory, okay, where the path actually starts, and that is called as /. And the root we are calling it up because it is inspired from the tree, by the way. The tree starts from root. The starting place is called as root, and it is called as /. And in Linux, it is preferred to not to give any spaces in the folder names. You can still give it, but not preferred. And in Linux, the directory names and are sensitive. That means in Windows, you try to create a file name. Okay, you can give a try later. By the way, whoever is having Windows, you can give a try. So you're actually trying to create a folder or try to create a folder demo. Okay, and try to create one more folder also with a demo. Small characters. It won't allow you. I'm not sure any one of you is aware of this, but Windows, it won't allow. Linux, it will allow. Capital demo is different, small demo is different. And capital and remaining characters is small characters is also different. Okay, it just look in a case sensitive way. Windows is a case insensitive way. Okay, so these are the things as an introduction, by the way, to the Linux, how it looks like, and actually commands will start from tomorrow. And even that's all from my side for today. So what all you need to do after the today's session is there is a GitHub link. I'm pinging in the chat, but anyhow, we'll inform you over the messages or the web pages which are opening to attend the session. Will embed this particular link also. So in that particular one, you have a killer coda. You have a Miro, whatever the diagram we have added. Here is an account sign up video. Please go through that, by the way. And create your AWS account if you don't have one. And from tomorrow in Killer Coda, we are going to start learning the Linux and give some buffer time for your AWS account. So today only you created account, today only you created a server. I mean, sometimes Amazon thinks that you are trying to spam them and they'll block you. So just to avoid that, just let's give some cooling period. That also will use 1 or 2 days. We'll get a cooling period as well. Okay. So I think that's all from my side for today. Any questions? Anything now? I mean, even extended to the topic, anything about the program also, training program also, please, you can feel free to ask. And whoever don't have any questions, feel free to drop as well. Okay, we'll see in tomorrow's session. Thank you. Bye. Good day. Anyone? Any questions? Please go ahead. Can you ping me what link you used to join the session, by the way? So then I'll come to know where to find.
Okay, it's a Zoom link.
No, you can't get the Zoom link directly.
Yeah.
There only at the down you have the, I mean, you clicked on live, right? By the way, you clicked on live and you joined.
I got the link like Anita read DevOps.
1 second. Yeah, by clicked on live, you joined the session, right?
Yes.
Just below the live, if you open that AWS DevSecOps 83, and just below the, just below to that, actually, you will have.
Okay, recording is there.
Yeah, demo is there. So demo, I think with the date -demo it is.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
And today's recording will just come as a name as today's session will come as the today's date -session 01 recording it.
Sure. Yeah.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
So to log into the Zoom every day, they'll have to go to the site to click on the link like every day.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no option to just type the say the code and the password and log in.
No, I did not got it. Come again.
So you know how if you open the Zoom app on my computer, I can just type your Zoom username and password and log in. I have to go through the link all the time, every day.
Yeah, it's a simple click on it, right?
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Correct. Thank you. I just wondering if you can show us how to create these GitHub repositories for our projects on one of our classes. How to show our projects on the GitHub as well.
Yeah. We'll show everything. Don't worry. When the topic
Okay.
comes, we'll
Thank
talk
you.
about it. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
For AWS account, we need to charge every month.
Yes, there will be charges around $30 to $40 every month.
Okay. Based on usage or else monthly.
Based on usage.
Okay.
Yeah, Raghu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have this free tier account of AWS, which was created maybe more than 1 year. So can I use that same account, or do I need to create another account which will be the free tier?
No, same is fine.
Same is fine, right?
Yeah.
So there's no like some resources might not be free for me now. So is it fine?
Even for free people also, it is not free only. Because you don't fall under free limits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Don't see any hands. Okay. All good, then can meet in tomorrow. We'll start with the Linux and we'll learn the Linux commands. Okay. Bye. Good day. Good night. Thanks.